We have a hot mic.
Good. No, that was geeking me out. Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I'm gonna give it my best. You're like, okay, let's just go.
I've
That was
I've
fun.
been struggling for words myself during the day. I don't know what it is. I guess we only have so much brain capacity or energy. It ebbs and
Yeah,
flows. But
well,
I
I
w-
think it's funny, like you say that, and I'm sure probably like knowing you well enough, I wouldn't notice that. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, he's like
yeah,
he goes through episodes like you're in your head going, oh, I'm talking less, and I'm stumbling over words. Probably nobody noticed it, but I
that's
know like you know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, that's a great point because I'm super critical of myself, which you know, and I've gotten way better. Like there's strengths to that, and then sometimes it's like you got to take a chill pill. But when I go back and listen every now and then, I don't listen to all of our episodes in full detail, but it's like, oh, okay, actually, I didn't sound that bad. But in the moment, it's like, oh crap, did I really stumble that bad? And then you hear it
Yeah.
again, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. And 9 out of 10 times, no one's gonna really even care. So yeah,
Well, if you think about that whole like that's crazy how our brains work, right?
right.
Like literally, like you could be in the middle of a conversation, and like in the middle of this thought, you've got this other thought that creeps in. That's like how, you know what I mean? Like our brain is so complex.
Totally. I will
And we
say,
can convince ourselves in the moment that we're saying something in a stupid way, but while saying it, and we'll also thinking about what we have to do later that night.
dude, you're right. That's so wild. Like our brain has, what do they say, four different parts, I guess. That's
Yeah.
simplifying it. And I guess one part of the brain is like watching out for things. And I guess that's like the anxiety that creeps in as you're talking. It's like, just chill. It's all right. I will say though, I think I might have found the fountain of youth. I think I've stumbled upon it.
What is it?
I have.
Okay. I'm so happy about that. Go ahead and tell me. Just your smile when you
You're
said the
just like, shut up, dude. What do you have
no,
to
literally,
say?
guys, listeners, if you're not watching this, Hayden probably had the biggest smile he's ever had in his life when he said that.
Dude,
All right.
I've been feeling euphoric over the past couple of days. Maybe it's a placebo effect, but I've been following this guy for a little while now. I actually first found him, I don't know exactly how, but I ended up buying one of his books. That's not true. I rented, leased. I borrowed a book from the library. See, there we go. I was like trying to struggle for the
Yeah,
word
that's the
there.
right
Yeah,
terminology.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, which one
You
should I
don't
go
borrow
with?
from the bookstore, but you borrow from the library.
Yeah, exactly. So I got the book from the library. His name's Dave Osprey. I guess I'm spilling all the beans here. And this guy just loves biohacking and preserving his health, energy. He's done a lot of stuff, not everything I quite agree with, but it's very fascinating to at least hear some of his takes on things. And I've stumbled upon some of his stuff that he's been promoting, and he's been doing this for a while now. So it's not like this is a fad, or at least I don't think it is. And when I say a while, probably 10, 20 years every bit. Now, some things are probably a little bit newer than others, but there's this, I don't know if I'd call it, I'll call it a supplement. It's called Carbon 60 Plus. And I'm not going to go in and act like I know everything about it, but it's just fascinating the way that the body, I guess, reacts or handles that. And I guess it's been providing me with additional energy and clarity, as well as motivation. So I've been taking about 1 teaspoon of that every day. I've been mixing it in with either my water or my green tea that I've been drinking pretty regularly in the morning, hot tea. And it's been doing me wonders. So I've only been doing this for about 4 days or so, and I've already started to see a pretty big impact in just my mood and my behavior, which I think you kind of been able to maybe tell, maybe not. Um,
Well, I mean, I've been out of town. I can tell you that big smile on your face telling me something was different. Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, I haven't, we haven't interacted as much the past, obviously, probably, I mean, the past 4 days. I mean,
sure.
because I left Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's hard to freaking read
So I'm
body
gonna take
language.
your word for it. If you're feeling like you're on the We're going up the mountain. I'm right there with you, bro.
So, folks, this is what I have to take to just compete with Cole or come up to his level because he's always just on a natural high and performing at an elite level. So, I need to step my game up and I need to use some supplements. That's what I'm basically highlighting.
Anything you can do to optimize. Oh, I like that.
Exactly.
Man, you're making me laugh. Holy smoke.
Maybe you're just slap happy because, again, you've probably had another 12+ hour day and you're grinding, so really appreciate it. But no, I'll check back in a couple of weeks and let you know how it's going. But I've been using that, and I've also been using, this has only been like a day or two now. I think it's called MCT oil, but again, it's supposed to help power your brain and optimize it a little bit better. Again, those are,
Isn't that like, yeah.
You've tried that? Yeah. Do you do it like daily or how often?
I tried it years ago.
Oh, you've tried it in the past. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried that and a few other things.
Yeah.
I have to, you know what I'm going to have to do for you, Hayden?
What's that?
I'm going to have to go back. I used to document. I was like, I don't know, probably from the time I was 16, 15, 16, up until probably 23.
Yeah.
I was as like where you're at now with your obsession with like health food, like food and stuff. That's where I was at.
Right. You're like that. Bro, I've been there, done that.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'll have to go back and find, like, I was so obsessive.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose a lot of that stuff and you're not practicing yet. Like,
right. Like anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that stuff, but I'm getting better at it. But I used to be like, I had that phase where I had researched everything too, like you're doing.
Totally.
And I'm sure, like, if I were to get back into that, if I had the time and wanted to focus my attention on that, I'm sure, like you, like, it's probably wild how much more research and stuff's out there.
Yeah, right. Even like 12 months, man, stuff changes and a lot can be uncovered. But
think about what they can do for like us as like they call them nutrient, like supplements, vitamins. We can come up with a vaccine that it's gonna be debated whether it worked or didn't work, but we come up with a vaccine for a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And what, six months?
Something like that.
Okay. Think about what we can do for like improving the human body in general.
Yeah. I would say that food,
like what's out there that they haven't released is what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean that's a hot topic, but I'd say that food can make just a huge impact in your life in so many different ways, and each person's different. We've talked about it on a few episodes in the past, but it's just amazing. Some of it's trial and error. Each person's different, but I totally implore folks that are wanting to improve their lives to be a little bit more serious in terms of what they're putting into their body. As you mentioned, it is somewhat of, I don't know if I'd say it's a chore, but you got to be a little bit diligent and make sure you're carving out time, or it's like anything. If you're not putting in any effort, you're probably not going to see the results that you want. So anyhow.
I like that one analogy Angela had. Like she's like, make it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Like make it as easy on yourself as possible to fit your like lifestyle.
Totally. And one way that Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
we got a lag going on over here, folks. That's probably what I sound like, or at least that's what my brain's telling me. I'm like, am I stuttering? Nah. But the way that I've been looking at things over the past 6 to 9 months in terms of how I'm eating meals is I look at it as like not a formula, but a percentage. So let's say that I'm eating roughly, we'll just do simple math, 3 meals a day, which is probably a little bit higher than that. I would include snacks. So let's say 5. So 5 times 7, that's 35 meals. And if I'm able to eat, let's say 30 good meals, which again, what's your definition of good? We're not going to get into that right now. But again, the point being, like, that's how I take that balanced approach. Like, not every single meal is going to be quote unquote healthy or perfect, but as long as, you're staying focused on the majority of your meals being good for you and how you define what is good for you, that's up to each person. I think that's going to go a long way. And that's where you don't have to be perfect and, stressing yourself out and making sure that you're eating perfect every single time. But it does make a pretty big impact in your life when I'd say at least 70% of the time you're consuming good food that's beneficial to your health, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say even to add to that, because I think I like that, Hayden. But I think that even to add to that, you think about like just in general how easy it is to like fall into the trap of like fad diets and fad this and fad that.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing, like you pointed out, is just like to reiterate like that percentage thing. Like that's pretty neat. That's a pretty good way to look at it. Cause like, yeah, if you're eating relatively healthy and I mean on the healthier side of things for 70 to 75% of your meals, staying within that, then like do that 25%, but it also depends on your goals too. Like, I mean, like
Exactly.
if you're trying to lose weight, you got to be better than that 75%.
Eh,
And you're going to also probably have to restrict some certain stuff.
sure. Yeah. I mean, as we say every
But
darn
yeah,
episode,
I
it's
like that
relative.
percentage. I like the percentage approach.
Yeah. I think that can also be applied to just other things in your life, whether that's, good days and bad days, putting things into perspective. Not every single day is going to be a good day. And I think we as a society always think that every day needs to be the best day ever. And you could argue that that should be your mindset. And look, that's great. But the reality is there's going to be tough times in life. And you have to understand that there are certain emotions that come along throughout, let's say, a day, a month, and they're just temporary at the end of the day. No matter how good or how bad, like where I try to stay is even keeled as best as I can. Because again, it's like the stock market, things fluctuate over time, but as long as you can kind of stay in the, sweet spot, you'll be all right. Again, that's my philosophy. You might have a completely different philosophy, but again, I think it's that whole percentage based mindset that can be applied to anything really in life, not just food.
Well, I was going to say, well, I was thinking, so the like the interesting thing that I want to I kind of like climb onto is like I always think about each and every day, and like you try to look at as a combination of days. Like when you're told to look, you can look, you want to focus on the day you're in,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then you got to look at a holistic approach, right?
Right.
So like sometimes you get so stuck in that day.
Yeah.
Like I've been there before, even recently, where you're like, this Monday went like super well, right?
Right.
I was on point. I woke up feeling energized, and like everything, it was like the stars aligned. And then you wake up on Tuesday, you're late waking up, you got a headache, you forget to make coffee, like all this stuff lines up, and you're like, you just struggle through the day. And I used to get this, and this is something like for me, dude, that's like it's been tough. But I used to get in that cycle of like wishing, like, oh man, I just wish I could go back to yesterday. It was such a good day. And now I'm in that cycle of like, man, I just can't wait to get through this damn day. Like, I mean, just like, I know tomorrow is going to be better.
Sure.
So it's just like, how do I get through it? I'm not looking back and going, I've switched that mindset from, I'm not looking back to miss what I have and going, how can I just get into that next great day? And I think for like, one of the things that I'm super passionate about is that. And like for our listeners and people that I influence in life, I'm always worried about like how are they going to react to something, because I want like it's always how you react to bad things or bad situations, and I'm always like trying to influence people I know and motivate people to like keep moving forward. Like if you fall forward, you can probably catch yourself. If you fall backwards, man, you're hitting the ground hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of the way I want to look at it. So I just I would encourage everybody that's having a bad day or anything is like just look towards the next one. Don't worry about the one behind you.
Totally. I like that a lot. Yeah. I mean, to put things in perspective, when you're on your deathbed, are you really going to remember that bad moment that you had, when someone might have yelled at you in the office or whatever the heck it might be, that's the first thing that came to mind. Like, who really cares in the grand scheme of things? And again, it's like trying to see the forest from the trees. You got to put things in perspective. And it's a lot easier said than done at times. And as I mentioned a couple minutes back, no matter what type of emotion you're feeling, because we are emotional human beings, it's temporary. No matter how bad, how good, it doesn't last forever. It's just life.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing about life. But I
Yeah.
think, dude, it was a deep conversation. I mean, I didn't know I was gonna get deep tonight,
Dude,
man.
we always go deep. What are you
Yeah, but
talking about?
I'm just thinking about like you think about
And by the way,
that.
we want to thank anyone who's tuned into this episode. Hayden, got Cole on the line as always. Welcome back to another episode. I think we're on episode 40 here. Cole corrected me last time saying, yo, we didn't do an intro, so I'm calling him out this time.
You just remembered that?
No, I didn't just remember it. I was waiting for a good time. Come on now.
You interrupted me. I was getting really deep. I was thinking I don't know. I'll come back to like even when I got in last night. I did something I haven't done in a while, which I'm gonna tie this all together for you. But I got in and I literally like I met some of these temp workers that are working with us here, like on the project,
Mm-hmm.
and they're telling me their stories. And so I mean, some people have just had like really really tough lives.
Yep.
I mean, like you just puts it in perspective, like, and they were positive and like, I mean, I'm not gonna name names, but there's three people I'm working with, and they're temp labor, and they've had just backgrounds. I mean, two of them been to jail and are just being rehabilitated, and one of them's she's got 5 children, and she's just trying to find work, and like this, it just reminded me, not only like just look at what I've already got.
Right.
And it's all wanting things and wanting and striving for things is so important, but like also being grateful for where you're at right now. And it's like, and the thing is like there are always people that might not be as fortunate, and there might always be people that are more fortunate, but it's like being so grateful for that. What I'm saying, I got home and I got back to my room, I showered, and I'm like, I really want to just thank God for this. Like I can't remember the last time I like went and got on my hands and knees and prayed like that, like in that. And I was like, I just thank you for the opportunity. I'm like, I'm around people that I would not typically get the opportunity to be around, right? In a setting that we're able to talk and interact, and I mean, just in general, like I get to come up here and do work that I don't do, right? And kind of get in the mind of people that do this for a living, and why they're so grumpy or not grumpy, or excited or not excited, right? I've learned one thing: operations people don't want to hear about how the sales guy's going to sell more stuff, because they're like, that's just more work for me. But no, I think it just, you made me think that like this life we've got is so beautiful.
Totally.
And it's a collection of times and people and moments. So if you look at it, if you try to go, I'm having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, like look at your life collectively. Like how many other times have you had a bad day or week or month, and then had a great 6 months, or
Right.
4 or 5 months? So I don't know.
It's just a storm that's temporary. It blows through. And I love what you just had to share there with, that powerful moment with thanking God, and just the power of gratitude is amazing. That's something that I've tried to be more mindful of over the past couple of years. I'm not perfect myself. I think each and every person battles, their own problems in life, and we don't need to get into the specifics here. I've had some periods of time where it hasn't always been easy, and I don't want Cole and myself to come off as like virtue signaling, because it's a lot. it's easy to celebrate your wins when life is going fine, but how do you react when things aren't going your way? Like that's who you are at the end of the day. Like that's your character. Because anyone can get out there and say, "Oh, I'm crushing it because everything's going my way." Well, what about the times in your life when things might not be going your way, or they're just challenging? Like that's part of life, and you got to figure stuff out, and that's going to be different for each and every person what it is. But going back to the gratitude thing, like every morning, or almost every morning, I should say, I try to just thank God as well for the opportunity to get up and, do what I need to do in my life. So I think that's definitely helped me become a better person. Again, I'm always working on that because it's so easy to get caught up in, well, I want that next promotion, or I want the bigger house, the car. I mean, it's cliche, but that's how we're wired as human beings. But if you can try to incorporate more gratitude in your life, I mean, it's only going to compound and make you a better person.
Well, I like totally think I think, and that's like it's not like a negative to want stuff, but it's just like, and it's like that's like part of like striving, like like that's kind of like what, yeah, I don't know. I would say like striving for that stuff can motivate a lot of people. I mean, things aren't supposed to motivate us, but hey, you know what? We're human beings, and things do. Like it's good to be motivated about stuff.
Exactly.
But I think it's so when I was saying it, I thought what you're saying is just like it's looking at like, okay, like I'm blessed to have what I've got to work with now. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is my foundation that I've built, right? Whatever like path, whatever that might be, right? Whether it's, the X, Y, or Z, if you can look and say, this is where I put myself.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not a great spot.
Yep.
But then it's taking ownership. Like, this is where I got myself. How can I get better? So I don't know.
I like that.
I digress.
Ownership. You are the person that's in charge of the decisions and the attitude that you want to have in life. So yeah, just recognizing that is extremely important. Yeah, I like all of that. I lost my train of thought, but
how about this? This is one that I've again had direct. I mean, we've talked about this before, Hayden. But what about that we all get in this trap? Is we can I don't know a human being that doesn't want to hear, expect to hear something a certain way, and like get upset when they don't get the response they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've all gone through that in life. So what about like the thought of like, you're worrying so much about what you want to hear that like when you don't hear that, you know what I mean? Like what about that struggle? Because I think I've struggled with that. Like I used to struggle with that a lot. It's like you'd say something and you're expecting a certain response, and you read it a different way. You know what I mean?
I think I'm processing what you're saying there. You're asking like, how do you handle those situations where you're expecting a certain response or a certain answer, but it doesn't quite come across the way that you wanted to hear things, and like how do you deal with those types of situations?
I just feel like I've had that, like I've experienced that a lot. Like
every single person does. Like it's called
what I mean?
Telling people the hard truth sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's an art to it as well when sometimes it's not always what you say, but how you say it. So you got to frame it or tee it up the right way at times. But yeah, there's going to be times where people are going to tell you how it is. And more times than not, it's probably good. Like you got to be self-aware. Like I'll use a recent example for me. Like my parents, the way that they've raised us is their parents first, friends second. And I would say that I don't even know if I'd say they're friends, like they're parents. That's just how they were raised, and that's their philosophy. And I really like that too. They are my parents. They're not my friends. So they're always trying to do what they think is in the best interest for me to grow as a person, whether I like that or not. So where I'm going with this is I made a post or like a little article online, and my parents kind of checked me saying like, hey, like, yeah, maybe in the moment that felt like the right thing to post, but like, what about a couple of years from now? Like, there could be ramifications. And again, that's where it's very nuanced and you could overthink it. But again, they were kind of looking out for me, telling me, like, hey, I don't know about that. Maybe you should either change some of the wording or maybe you should take that down. And again, that's just an example recently where my parents are kind of giving me that feedback, even though I didn't really want to hear it. I remember my mom calling me and I told her, like, look, I'm not here to argue. I appreciate your feedback, but like, I'm set in my ways. I'm going to keep that out there. But after about 30 minutes to an hour, I really started to fully process that. And I'm like, you know what? She's probably right. I'm going to take that down and it's probably going to benefit me in the long run. So that's, again, just a real fresh example in my mind, with hearing things that you don't always want to hear, but it's probably in your best interest.
What did you post?
I'm not going to share what I posted. It's not, no, it's really not that,
You knew I was gonna ask that.
well, I know I'll share with you offline and it's not that big of a deal, but, again, perception can be reality. People can interpret things a million different ways, which is fascinating too. Like I've learned that, a lot recently, just being in a meeting, Cole could hear something different than how I could interpret, and coming back together to debrief. It's always interesting to hear the different vantage points from people. And it's like, no, I didn't quite hear it that way. And that's why it's good to debrief, from very large meetings to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Again, I love to over communicate and share the same information, more than just once, just so people are fully recognizing, like, hey, this is what we aligned upon, because certain people can take information and run with it a different way. So anyhow, I'll share with you what I posted offline. I'm not going to discuss here.
I just wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you did. Just like, everyone else probably wants to. No, it's really not that big of a deal. I thought of my train of thought earlier around, it's all right to want to strive for more, in life, and you can be grateful too. And I think we've talked about this before. Like, it's not mutually exclusive where it's like, okay, well, I'm grateful for what I have. I can't seek more. Well, no, that's not true. You can be grateful for everything that's going on in your life, but you can also work towards being a better person and wanting more. And wanting more can be defined as a million different things. Again, it's up to you in terms of what your desires or what your needs might be in life. So I wanted to add that as well when we were talking about that. And again, another thing is, like, our minds jump from, or at least I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of people are probably this way. We don't always focus on the present. Our mind jumps from, the past to the future. And you kind of were describing it with your philosophy of, well, yesterday was such a great day. Like, I'm having a tough day. Like, you look back on those experiences at times, and sometimes you're not living in the present moment, or there's those instances where you're like, man, I wish I had whatever it might be. And if I get to that point in the future, my life's going to be so much better. Yeah, maybe sometimes that's the case, but a lot of times that's not really the reality. Like, we crave materialistic things, unfortunately. And there are things that aren't going to provide us, that purpose or that meaning in life. The real purpose and meaning in life, I think, is wanting to better yourself. And that can be described as just learning new hobbies, improving your character, helping other people out and not expecting anything in return, things like that. So I wanted to sprinkle that in as well. You're like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, I like that.
See, Cole is tired because he normally is so quick to jump in and share something. And it sounds like I'm calling him out, and I'm not trying to, but I just know that he's been burning both ends of the candle, and I really appreciate him putting in the time here. But usually he's, quick to say something, and I think he's definitely a little tired here.
That's like the first time this whole episode that I haven't said something.
I know.
And then you call me out on it.
Hey,
man,
that's just how we roll around
honestly,
here.
I'm just saying, that's just mean. Seriously.
We're gonna have to
There's a
duke it
guy.
out
There's a
offline.
guy. There's a dude that I'm working with. I goes, he always goes, seriously.
I got a punching bag, so I've been working on my boxing. We'll have to duke it out offline.
Sir, dude, he says seriously on
Seriously.
everything. He can be like, "Hey, can you hand me a hammer?" Seriously.
Hey, he's keeping it fresh, man.
No, no, he's just giving me a hard time. He's throwing some haymakers at me.
Uh,
Little old me,
it's all in
you
good
know,
fun.
up here sweating. You know, I mean, everything you were saying was spot on.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
think the being present thing is always a
it's something that we all deal with and we'll struggle with,
well.
I think.
It's just such a our brains are like not wired to be present,
Correct.
even though we're supposed to be present.
Yeah.
If you think about like that, I'm obsessed with the human brain, and that's like where my head's at. Like thinking about like how we're wired and
Yep.
why we're wired the way we are, and like why do we do the things we do, and how much of our personality do we get? Like this is where my head's at. They're like, think about this. I'm throwing a total ADHD ADD thing here, but like we're literally all built to have a certain type of level of like attention deficit disorder,
Sure.
and especially because we've got all this stuff going around. Like you think of the
Stimuli.
family unit. What?
Like all the stimulating
Yeah,
thing. Yeah. Right. Go
yeah.
ahead.
And so I guess like there's that thought, and there's also this thought I have tonight of like how much of our personalities do we get from our mom versus our dad, and like how is that like determined?
Yeah. I mean, there's a
Think
lot
about
to
all the technology.
no, I
It's like
love.
it's just
There's so much to unpack there. By the way, like first off, I wish that I took more psychology classes back in school. I mean, it's not too late. I still read articles now and then. I'm not going to act like I'm a big researcher related to psychology, but it is fascinating. We know a lot about humans, but there's so much. I mean, so much that we don't know. And going back to your question around like, what do we get from our mom versus our dad? Like that's super interesting to think about. I don't know if there's one right answer as well. And I would also jump in and say that there are certain things that you can learn over time and it doesn't necessarily come innately. Like I'm a true believer in that. Like you
more
might be
obvious.
born a certain way and people are like, "Oh, well he was born a natural leader." Yeah, a little bit, but I think there is so much more to learning and growing as a human being. And again, it all starts with your
Yeah,
mindset.
totally. But I mean, like I was just thinking of like but like the root core of our. I think there's a core in everybody. Like how was that diced up?
Sure.
Like even like the part about like how is it like how is our like the way our brains handle emotions, like like depression, anxiety,
Mhm.
or like a lot of the times like doctors will say they're hereditary, they can be hereditary, right? Like that sort of thing, like what determines where which kid gets it when doesn't.
I'm going to say, and this might be controversial, some depression or emotions, feelings, some of that can be cured or fixed to some degree. I'm being careful here.
Treated.
Sure, right, treated by not only the food you consume, but like what you're doing in a given day, how much sunlight you're getting. And I think more and more people are starting to awaken to that. Um, and we've talked about this on an episode or two around nutrition, but processed sugar, like, or added sugar,
Food
like
is
that stuff
medicine.
is not good. Yeah, food is medicine. Like, there are certain things that if you continue to do that, like that might have a negative effect on your body, whether you
Well,
truly know that it or not.
dude, yeah. I mean, even like exercise, like
Mm-hmm.
literally, like people that exercise are less sad than people that than people that don't exercise. That's
It's a
but that's because
fact.
like that's because your brain, but also your brain's like releasing the chemicals that are making you happy
Yep.
because you're getting exercise and your body's working.
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those things. Like I don't think that was controversial to say. I think some of it can be treated because yeah, like if you're not getting enough exercise, get some more exercise. If you're, I don't know. I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Yeah. I think
I got Haiti Pop's back on that one.
I think my serotonin is pumping at an all-time high right now because of that carbon 60 plus that I'm taking.
Plug in there. Okay.
I am. I'm
Okay.
putting another plug
Well,
in for that. Maybe we'll get
because of my
sponsored.
well, I think mine's at an all-time high because of my Gordon Food Service store purified water.
Hey,
No,
that's not
no
Kroger water, eh?
sponsor. What?
It's not Kroger water, so it can't be good.
Sponsor us. No, I didn't even know this was a Gordon Food Service model until I looked at it. They must have, yeah, they've got it. Dude, they got the good stuff at my hotel.
Hey, you're getting hooked up, man.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely. One other random kind of thought that I have here as I keep opening up my phone, and well, actually, as I mentioned that, do you have that problem? Maybe it's just me, and I think other people do. Like, I would say that I am addicted to my phone, unfortunately, but I recognize that. Like, I pull out my phone and just like look at it for a split second. It's like, why am I doing this? Do you have that problem? Or maybe you
Dude,
don't
all the
battle
time.
that.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
This is an
Like,
adult pacifier.
dude, you literally go, you like open it
Yeah.
and go to the same four apps, like,
Right.
but like not even you're just like I gotta open Instagram and like scroll up and not even look at anything and then close it.
Yeah.
Then I'll open it like 3 minutes later.
Yeah. It's like, what am I looking at? Am I expecting God to pop out and like tell me like everything that I
Dude,
need to
it's
know
so
or
bad. Yeah.
something? But related to this is I've been moving my apps around on my phone. I mean, it's kind of annoying at first, but I think it's kind of good for the brain to adapt to finding things in different locations instead of having the same thing all the time. If that makes sense. I'm sure there's some science or studies out there on whether or not that like really does anything. And again, I saw this on like a TikTok or something where there's promoting like move your apps around from time to time. I don't know if you've seen anything like that or ever heard of that. Just a random
No, but
thought.
I mean, I would say like, I mean, what I really need to do is move my apps off of my phone completely and go back to like one of those Vodaphones
Dude,
where
I've
I got like 30 minutes of.
totally thought of that as well. Yeah. And I've deleted apps
Dude,
too, but it still doesn't it it doesn't curb me as much as I thought it would. I mean, it helps, but like Instagram,
dude,
Facebook, like you can still get on the
it's like a
mobile web
drug,
version.
dude. It's like
Yeah.
it's like we're drug addicts.
They've
We're like,
created those on purpose to be addicting. So you go back and use those
yeah,
services
but
or
your
those
apps.
products.
Like think you're I'm like I've deleted like social media apps. I'm like I'm gonna turn the deletes on my phone, and then within 2 weeks I've got it back. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? Because I'm like okay, I didn't really mean it. Like I still want to use it, and it's like dude, it's like a drug. It's I mean it is a drug. It's chemically altering our brain.
Yep.
Because we're getting dopamine because of the instant gratification from the videos and stuff.
Hmm.
So it actually technically like it's a drug.
Yeah, no, that's a fact, totally. And ways that I've been trying to cope with that, as you said, like we're all about this instant gratification type of culture, is I'm taking on projects, whether those are house projects or projects at work, and I don't get to pick as much with my work projects, but things that are going to take time that don't happen overnight, or even fitness goals. And it is super rewarding when you know that like you have to begin a journey and it's gonna be tough at times and it's not something where you get the answer, the results that you want immediately. And that just makes life a little bit sweeter, a little bit better for me. So I try to offset those instances where it's like, I want it now, 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 which could be buying something on Amazon and I get it shipped to me the same day or the next day. Like that's another good example. Or yeah, scrolling Instagram and just seeing, whatever it is that I want and getting that dopamine rush. But I try to counter that by doing other things in life that I know, again, that I'm not going to see the results or get that rush of dopamine right away, if that makes sense.
You know what's funny? It does.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. Like, I would love for everything to be like instant gratification. I've just learned the hard way that like things just don't the big things don't happen fast. You know what I mean? Like I'd love it's funny. I just think about like I'm not like I of course like easy things make me happy. My getting me to be like satisfied. That's a weird thing. Getting me satisfied. No, but like like satisfying my enthusiasm, I guess. Like, I'm pretty enthusiastic, pretty happy. But dude, I've like, at least for me, delayed gratification has just become a norm for me
Mm-hmm.
on like the career things, the business ventures, the you know relationship with my wife, and we're continuing to grow and get better. Like that's just taken time to build. That it's like I don't expect things right away. I'm like, oh, it's gonna take some time. Like we'll get there eventually. Like and it's kind of weird though. It's like I have that like that want and that like drive that make it happen faster,
Mm-hmm.
but also like understanding that like I'm gonna be okay even if it takes longer.
Dude, that's so insightful. I mean, I've heard it from you talking off the air. I mean, you're experiencing it with your job where you're putting in that upfront work with your potential clients, and you know that you're probably not going to close on a deal on that first call, and it takes however long. And just hearing your process of working with these clients over X period of time and the reward once you are able to, make a deal happen. Like that's awesome. So I think you totally are, a prime example of the power of delayed gratification and knowing that there are certain things that take time. And as cliche as this is going to sound, like great things take time. They don't happen overnight. And unfortunately, social media promotes, those instant wins.
Quick fixes, right? Like,
Yeah. No one.
Like,
go ahead.
It's all that crap. Man.
Yeah.
I think it's. I think it's like so important to celebrate the little wins, and for me, that's how I think that's how I've dealt with delayed gratification. But I think about I know we're getting a little long on time, but if I think about this like in a psychology manner, think about this: the way I've dealt with things having to take long, right, and things just not happening quickly, is I've celebrated like all the other little things, like overly celebrated.
Yep.
So I walk into the office the other day and I saw like a little baby mouse that I've been trying to catch for Ava, and it's like my week's made. Like that thing, like you know what I mean? Like,
I think the thing's a rat, by the way. I've seen a photo of it.
It was a mouse. It was a mouse. But I'm saying like for me, that gets me really excited.
Yeah.
So I'm able to like wait longer for the bigger things.
Yeah.
Because I'm filling that bucket.
Yeah.
There's a psychology. There's a little brain twist for you. I just diagnosed myself. You're welcome.
I'm processing all that. So basically, Cole likes to catch mice. That's what I'm hearing.
I was tying some Zen message into that.
I know. You're like, dang it, Hayden tried to make a joke out of it.
I was channeling my yin and yang, and you're just like, you're an idiot.
Dude, that goes back to how we process things different. Come on, man. Come on. Well, I think you're right. I think we've talked about probably the most that we've ever talked about on one given episode, but I thought a lot of it was pretty darn deep. We talked about things ranging from psychology, business, as we typically dive into, just our different thought processes on things, a little bit of relationships. We were all over the place, man. I thought this was the most fun episode that I've probably had with you, in my personal opinion, just because we were able to just talk openly and have a conversation.
I've enjoyed them all, but sorry, I haven't lived up to your standard.
No, they're all. I know. I always backtrack on this. They're all awesome and unique in a different way. This was fun. Yeah. See, now he's getting me back, folks.
You challenged me when you were like, "Oh, you're tired," and just not like, bro's calling me out. So
I didn't mean to call you out like that.
You did. Oh, you did. You did it on purpose.
No, I didn't. Cole is crushing it. He's a living example of grind and hustle.
It's like the eye of the tiger. Yeah, the eye of the tiger. That's what you said at the football games. Yeah, that's what I started hearing in the background when you said that.
Okay.
I'm like, it's game time.
Heck yeah, love it. All righty. Well, thank you all for tuning on into episode number 40. It's hard to believe, but we've almost put out 50 episodes. We're well on our way. the best is yet to be here at Unscripted Exchanges. A lot of good stuff in the works. Exciting guest as we continue to promote a wide variety of topics. We do have some merch coming out here shortly as well. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from our current prototype or design. I know some folks definitely want to get their hands on one of those. So more to come here in the coming week or weeks. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
What up? Hold on, I'm not crushing.